Welcome to Dugout Chatter. We are going to see how America's pastime has shaped generations of young men and women into the determined people they are today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dugout Chatter. I have a returning guest today. I got my old high school varsity coach, Nick Franco, and I'm going to have to, not call you Coach Franco because that could get confusing really fast. It's just, an old habit. But he brought his younger brother on today as well. Joe Franco, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Also, Joe Franco. So we got the two Francos today.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little sub-series I got going on. I'm bringing on all my brothers, bringing on you guys as brothers. It's a fun idea. Baseball runs deep in a lot of families.
Absolutely. Yep. It definitely did in ours, and just as well as yours.
Yeah, so you guys both went the coaching route. So, where do you want to start? Because, I think it's interesting, when I had all my brothers on, we kind of talked about our relationships as brothers and how baseball was intertwined with that.
Yeah, I mean, just to start off, I'm 5 years younger than him, so pretty much everything he did, I did. So everything that he did, I tried to do even better. But growing up, I saw his podcast with you, and it was awesome. I was glued to it for, the amount of time that it was on. And, he touched base on a lot of things on how we grew up and stuff like that. So, he was like a father to me, even though he's my older brother. So it was an interesting childhood, but a good one.
Yeah. Did you guys ever – were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
No, did you guys ever play on the same team together growing up? Because, I never got – I have three older brothers. I never played on the same team with any of them.
No, we never did. Because of the 5-year difference, we never got a chance to do that.
Well, except the men's league game.
That's right. We did play. We played at a men's league game.
He was at first base, and I pitched an inning. It was a men's league game.
You were only like 6. You were in college?
I was in college.
I don't even remember this. To be honest with you.
It was like a summer. It's like a summer men's league game or something. Yeah. And I pitched an inning, and he played first base, and it was the only time we were on the field together.
I honestly don't even remember that.
Yeah, Sea Dogs.
I think that's a good time to talk about Land Shark. We're drinking a Jimmy Buffett beer.
There you go. Rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah,
the date of recording, he passed away the night before, and we're drinking Land Shark in his memory because he was an icon for sure.
That was the only time we've been on the field, except for when we competed when we were younger.
Front yard baseball.
No, it was actually at a Coral Springs High School baseball camp, and I struck him out.
This is a good story.
Yeah, this is a great story. Yeah, I was I think I was 12 and he was 17 or something.
17 or 16, still just about to turn 17. Our high school coach, my high school coach at the time, who Joe ended up playing with, he had a camp, so we went to the camp. And Joe was 12 years old. And,
pitching from 46 feet.
Pitching from 46 feet, not even the full distance.
And
I was trying to take him yard, and I just pulled out, shoulder flew open, head flew out, and he fucking struck me out. And everyone got on me at my case.
It was awesome.
Was the happiest moment he's ever had.
Every kid in the camp and all the instructors were on the side. They were cheering for me, and I blew up by him. I didn't throw hard, but I blew up by him. I blew up by him.
You threw the gravity ball.
The worst part was he didn't even drive me home. I had to walk home.
I was so embarrassed.
He wouldn't take me home. He was embarrassed, and I had to walk home from that day.
Was it 2 miles or something like that?
It's like 5.
We looked closer than that.
That's great. So you were mostly a pitcher then?
So I was 4 years varsity at Coral Springs High. I started out as a PO my freshman and sophomore year. And then I got really bored my sophomore year because all my friends were on JV freshman year. I made varsity. And they were all playing, multi-positions. And sophomore year, they come up on varsity, to join me. And they're all playing positions. I'm like, man, this is boring. So I ended up, telling Coach Bumbalis after sophomore year, I said, I'm going to be your second baseman next year because I grew up playing second base, basically. Yeah. And, I ended up beating out a senior in fall, hit 600 in the fall season. It was awesome. And then the senior ended up quitting because I took his spot.
Wow.
So, it was cutthroat, I guess. And he couldn't handle that I beat him out. So my junior and senior year, I played second base and pitched.
Nice.
Yeah, so, Joe touched on, older brother, kind of like father figure and trying to, follow my footsteps. Joe literally followed my footsteps. I made varsity as a sophomore. And when I was a sophomore, I was about 15. So you were about 10.
Yeah.
He literally said when he was 10 years old, I'm going to make varsity as a freshman. And then he did. And then
nobody believed me.
No, but it's funny. He used me as motivation for him to try to, one up me almost. And it was kind of cool to see as an older brother / father figure. My first car was a piece of shit Toyota Corolla. Guess what Joe's first car? Celica, Toyota Celica. I don't even remember my first
It was an 87 Celica, and then my first car was an 88 Celica.
No, I had an 83, and you got the 88.
Really?
But anyways, same car, but his was a little bit nicer than my first one. we had to pay for our own car. Like it wasn't like we weren't in a situation where mom could like just go out and get us a brand new car like some kids are blessed to have. So we had to like work for our money and we you know.
You were a pizza delivery driver. I was a pizza delivery driver.
He is damn near my twin, but just 5 years 5 years, you know, earlier.
Yeah.
But it's funny, and then you know he strived to play college baseball like I did, and he actually played for the same college coach as me, and he played at Palm Beach State, and then you know he wanted to do his own path with pitching, doing well, and then he got a ride to Nova, finish out playing there.
It was fun.
Yeah, so like I learned a lot from like a lot of different things from all my older brothers. Did you try passing that all down to Joe as much as you could?
I'll be honest with you, I was kind of addicted to Joe.
Yeah, he would never let me hang out with him and his friends. Ever.
He emulated us, me, and my friends, and baseball-wise, he always like was so into it. And I was kind of addicted to him. I just kind of wanted my space, you know. It wasn't
brothered.
Yes.
It's weird, you know. It wasn't like no hard feelings, man. It was just like I just wanted my space. We're with each other all the time. We lived together. We lived 10 feet away from each other in the bedrooms, you know.
I mean, anytime his friends were over, it was like I couldn't hang out with them. I couldn't go. They were playing Sega Genesis, and I had to go in my room. Like he wouldn't let me in. Now his friends were all cool with me hanging out, but he would never let me in the room.
My friends definitely took a good liking to him. He was a cool little kid, especially his competitive nature and stuff. But you know, we did battle each other on the same field in wiffle ball, backyard wiffle ball.
I dominated.
Our grandparents' house up in Boston. Every summer, we traveled up to Massachusetts and Boston, where my family's from, and we would spend the summers there. And we would always battle it out with our cousins and stuff in the backyard with wiffle ball. And Joe was pretty good wiffle ball player, very competitive, and you know, I was a sore loser sometimes. You know, but that's the brotherly. Competitive nature, right?
Yeah. No, believe me, I understand it. Like, actually, 3 of us shared a bedroom.
Oh my
bedroom!
God.
Yeah, 3 of us shared a bedroom.
Insane.
There was a bunk bed and then a small bed on the side.
Brutal.
And then like my brothers Kieran and Braden, I think they're like 2 years apart. So them together were like collectively ganging up on me.
Bet.
I
You were their punching bag, probably.
Oh yeah, like they'd throw me off the roof into the pool and all that.
Sounds
Yeah, so you guys had a bunch of experiences like that.
Yeah, we used to box, and like if he got me to the ground, he couldn't hit me. But if I got him to the ground every once in a blue moon, I would still get to hit him. So you know, we had a good rivalry, but it was good. It was fun.
Yeah, all right. So, Joe, going from 4-year varsity baseball, you went to Palm Beach State College. Walk me through that time a little bit.
So, my senior year, he was actually assistant coach at Palm Beach State, and so I wanted to commit before my senior season, you know, at Springs. So I go to a winter break camp or whatever, and you know, I did pretty well. And then I had like a bullpen session with the coach. And I was good. I was like 84, 86, like from 3 quarters over the top. And I threw strike after strike after strike. And Coach Duro literally said, he's like, Joe, I'm glad you're throwing strikes. You know, you're looking great. But 84 to 86, JUCO in Florida, good luck. And so he told me, he's like, drop down, throw submarine. Let me see how it looks. I ended up throwing 80, and the ball just freaking moved everywhere. So he's like, if you throw like that, you have a roster spot. I said, okay, sign me up. Let's do it. So my senior year, 2002 at Springs, I started throwing submarine, and I literally was going in as a senior to be a starting pitcher. But I knew my role in college was going to be a reliever, short-term reliever / closer guy. So I talked to Coach Bombales. I was like, listen, I got to get prepared for next year, but I think this is the best way I can help out the team my senior year. So I pitched in probably like 80% of the games in relief my senior year. And I started throwing submarine, and I had a spot. And then after high school, I graduate. I play for the Coral Springs Pokers, which was a very well-known travel team. It's not like the travel teams you have now where there's like a million teams. Mm-hmm. It's so watered down. I can go in a whole dissertation about it. But
hey, we can go there.
Yeah, so I played for the Pokers. I get a scholarship offer from Florida Tech, and it was just going to be a little bit too much money. So I ended up going to Palm Beach State basically for free because of my grades. And had 2 solid years there, and ended up getting a scholarship offer to Chicago State University. And the coach was like, oh, we're Division I, we're, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I know what I want to do with my life. I want to play 4 years of college baseball because I know I want to coach and teach. And I turned down the offer because I think they were like 6-50 the year prior. So they were really bad. South side of Chicago, it's cold. I'm like, all right, I'm going in my sophomore year. I'm going to see if I could, you know, see if something else comes up. So I end up pitching an inning. The next day, I get a scholarship offer from Nova Southeastern. I didn't even know they were at the field watching us play, but apparently they were there to see our shortstop. And so I signed with Nova and had 2 really good years at NSU. It was the best decision I made.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask you that, but you already answered it.
Yeah.
It's funny. You mentioned didn't even know they were there. Like, that is such like a key component to recruiting. Like,
100%.
Like, it's the biggest cliche when we're both high school coaches. We tell our kids all the time. And sometimes it just goes in one ear out the other. And they just don't get it sometimes. You literally never know who's in the bleachers.
Watching. Yeah.
And it could be the wife of a recruiter that's got a best friend whose son on the team. It's so amazing how small the baseball world is.
Yeah.
And you just never know who's watching. And a funny story, he's at Nova. I'm coaching at Santa Lucia's for my first year as an assistant coach. We play Jupiter. I'm an assistant coach. We're playing Jupiter. Miles Michaelis pitches against us in the Santa Lucia Slam.
He's a big leaguer.
Wow.
Miles Michaelis was a pitcher at Jupiter. Pretty good pitcher, but it wasn't a stud in high school. Like, good, but not like a guy. Under the radar. I become close with his pitching coach at Nova because he's there. So he calls me up one day and he's like, hey, whenever you see somebody you like, let me know. We played the Santa Lucia Slam. Miles Michaelis shoves it up our ass, actually, and we were really good back then when I was an assistant, really good. And I call up Ray Romano. I'm sorry, Romero. I said Evans. I said 4 different people's names. I called up Ray, and dude, this guy just shoved up our ass, and we're good. Like, he's really talented, and he's under the radar. No one really knows about him. Sure as shit, Miles goes to Nova, gets a ride. And the rest is history. He's a pretty successful big leaguer.
Yeah, and
I don't even know the guy.
Yeah.
I've never talked to him a day in my life. I've never met him. I've never seen him, except for on the field as a young assistant coach. And I kind of like paved the way for him just by word of mouth. And so that's another thing that people don't understand. Yeah. The opposing coach that you're playing against, impress them.
I've spoken to so many college coaches about other kids that have played against us in now I'm 18 years. And sometimes they get scholarships. Like, you just
I get phone calls from college guys like, hey, you just played Par Vista the other day. What do you think of so-and-so? And it's like, that shit happens. Like, kids don't understand. That's fucking real.
Yeah,
like,
it happens.
You never know who's in the stands.
Yeah.
No, that's
such a good story. Like,
that's really useful information.
Yeah, whoever's listening out there, if you have kids that going through the recruiting process are thinking about playing at the next level, you never know who's watching. And you should never, ever do something that will turn off someone.
100%.
You should always be the opposite. You should do everything the right way and play hard to impress someone. There's been guys that I've gotten called on, and I'm like, dude, he's fucking good, but he's a dog. I don't like him at all. Yeah. Like, he's just he cusses really loud if he pops up. He doesn't hustle, doesn't get out the box. Like, just a dog in between innings. Like, the way that you take ground balls in between innings from your first baseman matters. Yeah. Everything matters. And there's like bird dog scouts in a way, like, and they'll show up at the field before like anything's happening on the field. They want to see you step out of your car. Yeah. They literally want to see if you're dressed properly. They want to see if your hat's on backwards, or if you're sagging with your practice shorts or practice gear. They want to see what kind of music you're listening to. That happens. It legit happens. And so, I mean, the biggest thing that we try to get to our high school kids has never turn off someone and always impress someone.
Right.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite things you said, going into college, you knew your role would be middle relief, so you started training for that in 100%. High school. And I feel like that's that's like an intangible tool, knowing what your role is.
Yes.
How you can help a team.
And to be honest with you, being a head coach so long, it's...
How many people have you seen try to do way too much?
Way too much, and they think they're this, but they're really that. Yeah. And then they also think they're all Power 5 Division I recruits, and they're not. And it's and a lot of it has to do with the parents. I'm sure that we'll get into some of that later, but I was very real with what my abilities were. I knew what I wanted to do, and I took advantage of every opportunity I got. So
was Coach Bombalis influential for you like he was for Nick?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, our mom was like the booster club treasurer for 4 years when he was there. Then there was like a gap year because I was in 8th grade and he was a freshman in college. So I don't know what the hell Coach Bombalis did for a treasurer that year. But then when I got to 99 my freshman year, she was treasurer again for the next 4 years. So the Franco family and Coach Bombalis, very close. He was great. I loved how he ran the program. I did something stupid my senior year. Me and my third baseman were trying
He
to
held
go.
you accountable.
Oh, 100%. Like
you're 4-year starter.
Listen to this. So Bombalis, we had a really solid team my junior year. I think we were like 22-6, right? And we choked in the playoffs. Then my senior year, we were like, we should have gone to regionals and had a deep run, right?
Yeah.
Well, we needed to win one of the 2 last district games because back then with the FHSA, even
it was your district record.
Yes, it was just. It actually mattered to play district games, not like this stupid system that they have now. I hate it.
They had that through my senior year. It was
it's awful.
Games.
It's so stupid. I hate it. It's the worst. So, anyways, we had to win one of those 2 games, either against Coconut Creek or Douglas. And I was on a Wednesday, and we played, I think it was Thursday and Friday, we played Creek and then Douglas. All we had to do was win one of those. We lock up the 1 seed, which we got a bye, right? Then all you have to do is win one game. You're automatically in the regionals, right? Well, me and our third baseman were like, let's go get McDonald's, right? We don't want the school lunch, whatever. So like idiots, we get in my car, we go drive, and the security guard stops us. And I thought for sure, 100%, he was going to be cool with us going because he was also our bus driver, right? And he's like, head back. I was like, all right, you're not going to tell coach, are you? Nah, man, you're good. You're good. Sure enough, within 17 minutes, bro, we get a little call down to the office, and Bombalis is like right there, and he's like, where were you guys? I was like, what do you mean? We were in school. We didn't go anywhere. He's like, I heard what you were going to do. And it's so funny because as a coach now, I have eyes everywhere, right? And my players don't realize that. So he suspended us for both the games, right? Mm-hmm. We also had to run laps at practice, and we ended up losing both of those games. But he didn't care because he's running a program, and one of the things I learned best from him is that he always put the program over the individual, and I'm very big with that with my program.
He taught us like accountability matters,
100%,
and we don't care if you're the best player or the worst player.
Doesn't matter.
You're all equally treated the same.
You're all held to the same standards too.
And you're all part of the team, and you all need to buy in.
Yeah.
And I learned that from Frank, and he was always so good to our mother too. Yeah. Obviously she was involved and she helped him with the financials and stuff of running the program, but he understood what she was doing. She was raising 2 boys by herself because our father passed away when we were both young.
I was 1.
I was 6 and Joe was 1. And like Frank knew that like he legit was like a father figure to us, even though like we never like went to his house and like had like holiday dinners with him. Like he felt like a true father figure.
Yeah, you're spending just.
And we spent a lot of time with him during the school day.
Yeah.
I had him as a PE teacher 2 years out of my 4.
I had him 3. It was just.
And then we had a clubhouse at Coral Springs. It was awesome. So we were in the clubhouse before practice, changing, getting ready for practice, and he would just hang out with us and like talk to us. And he taught us how to be men. That's the biggest thing that I take pride in with being a head coach. I don't care about the wins and losses. I care about how my boys, understand how to act and how to do things. And looking back at it, like I said this on the solo episode with you, Giff. Like I've coached all your brothers, and I still have a relationship with all of them in a way. Like I was a little bit stronger at Ryan, obviously. Obviously, you coached with me. But, I've lost touch with Karen in a little bit, but I still, and Braden doesn't live here anymore, so I don't really see him that much anymore. But I still follow their lives on Instagram and social media, and like it just really that's really important to me. Way more important than wins and losses.
I mean, me and Frank just chatted a couple days ago about something, you know, and we still have a relationship with him and a lot of the guys that were on my team and stuff like that. So
remember we went to dinner with our grandma for her birthday, and it was Frank's, or not, it was just we just went out to dinner with my grandmother.
We saw him and another one of my coaches at Springs.
They went to the same restaurant. We ended up going. He got up. He was so happy to see us.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, what are the chances? Both Franco boys, and he gave us hugs. Like we
cool.
love the man.
He knew how to run a high school baseball program because he taught us. There's so much more to the actual baseball, and I think we do a good job of that. I'm in Broward County. Obviously, he's in Palm Beach, but I'm sure he can speak to the same thing, that there's a lot of coaches out there that win a lot of games, but they don't do it the right way, and they don't really care about everyone in their program. Like
I kind of call it selling yourself to the devil, you're a whore for the win. And I keep on bumping my glass against the table, trying to get a refill. Sorry, guys.
It's fine.
I'm really struggling trying to open up this cup. So
there you go.
But I will never be a whore to the win. I could care less about winning. Yeah. I've sacrificed winning for the right message to spread to the whole team. And you know what? Guys that I've hurt them in the moment, like hurt their feelings in the moment, I still have a relationship with that's really, fulfilling. Like it's real, And so like I take that really seriously, and that's what I want my program to be about.
Mm-hmm. So how was Joe, your transition going from player to coach?
I mean,
was it weird at all?
For me, it wasn't, because I didn't have the most talent on the field. I didn't throw the hardest at all. I topped out at 80, 81 in college, throwing submarine. In high school, I was 84, 86, and there's guys throwing 89, 92, 93. I felt like I was the hardest working kid on the field, whether it was high school or college. I had
That's
so
your
much.
MO, Giff.
Yeah.
Listen,
no one outworked you.
I had to do.
I couldn't hit a ball far.
I had to do a lot more than the other people. I worked my ass off. I trained as hard as I could. I was almost like an extra coach on the field, because I would hold the kids accountable on my team if kids were slacking off, because I wanted to win. I was competitive. Like, I don't want to lose. Like, it's so crazy, because my 8-year-old son is so. It drives me nuts how competitive he is, and he gets so pissed when he loses. And I try to help him kind of curb that a little bit. But
he gets that
I was
from
just
you,
like
dude.
that. I was
wait. You weren't just like that. You are just like that. There's a big difference. You're still like that.
Yes, I'm so competitive, and I love that he's competitive. It's great. But the transition from player to coach, I knew as soon as I threw my last pitch in college, which was a sweeper, which was my worst pitch from down under, and I struck the kid out, got the win against Eckerd College, and I knew as soon as I struck him out and the game was over, I knew my career was done, and I was ready to go transition to being a coach. 100%.
That's cool. And one interesting thing I was listening to a podcast with Kurt Schilling, and he was like, you don't win championships without guys like Craig Counsell.
100%.
You need those guys that are going to work. It doesn't take talent. It takes someone who's going to motivate the team, do what it takes to win.
100%. 100%.
And that's really
you need talent to withstand the grind of the season. You need the role players to win. And you need those exterior guys that are to be the glue of the team. Because and the most talented players don't necessarily always have that kind of trait in them. Like they're talented, yes, but and it has nothing to do with leadership. It has to just do with the energy that they provide. Yeah. And the energy comes from them being not as talented, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you might have some guys that are super uber talented, but their character sucks, and they're not going to hustle out the box, and they're not going to do those little things. They're not going to back up a play that could cost your team wins. I mean, the teams that win state titles in the FHSA, they got dudes on their team. If you were to honestly look at the last 10 years of the teams that made it to the Final Four, most of the rosters that are in the Final Four have guys that are 10, 11, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys that are all committed to colleges. You need those guys. There might be sprinkled in one or two teams that have a Cinderella season, but you need those guys. But the role players for those teams help out as well. So, guys understanding their role, what they have to do. If you got to put a sack bunt down, you need that guy to put it down, So
how is your relationship through all those formative years and going into both of you coaching?
We kind of mentioned this earlier. Joe kind of followed my shadows, growing up.
Did it change at all as you guys got older?
No, I mean,
no, not really. I mean, I run my program very similar to the way he runs his program. We always put the kid first before the win. I mean, a few years ago, every kid is held to the same standard. Yeah. A lot of the things that he did in his program, I would ask him, hey, can I have your contract? My first year at Monarch, I was 20. I got a head coaching job right in 2006.
He didn't even coach at all before getting that head job.
I mean, I worked at Bucky Dent for 9 years, as an instructor, sweating my ass off. But I mean, right after I graduated from Nova Southeastern, I got the
head job. How did that happen,
Monarch.
by the way? I remember you calling me dude, I just took the Monarch job. I'm like, what? You haven't even fucking coached that. You just graduated.
You know what? I accepted the position. They had 2 baseball positions open, right? So me and this other guy, Jeff, really good dude.
How did you even know about it, just graduating and stuff?
One of my buddy's kids was actually on the team still, and they were like, hey, they just fired the coach. Hey, why don't you put your resume in? And I did, because I was looking for a teaching job. You can't live off $2,000, $3,000, right? Yeah. So I needed the teaching job, and I put in for it, and they hired me and this other guy to be the baseball coaches. And so the AD comes up to me and this guy, Jeff, and he's like, hey, which one of you two want to be the coach, the head coach? And I said, I'll do it. And Jeff's like, he'll do it. And I was like, that's kind of how it started. And so right there at 20, just graduated 21 years old, and I got a head coaching job right away. And now I'm 18 years in.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, because I felt like I was young when I got my first stint as a head coach. I was 23 when I was hired, 24 when I started the season. And the motherfucker beat me out again. He's always trying to top me.
Well, it's crazy because, like, it's so hard to find college or high school coaches that will work for 2 cents an hour, right? Yeah. You got all these guys that don't coach high school, that coach travel, that make a lot more money than us. But the benefits of coaching high school, in my opinion, outweigh anything that travel ball has to offer, right? Because the relationships. I mean, look where we're at, right? Yeah. Former player, and we're doing this. Like, that's awesome. Like, I have former players that have coached with me that are really successful, that make a hell of a lot more money than me as a teacher. So it's it was great. I mean, I had a great 10 years at Monarch, and it was awesome. And, the opportunity came to Coral Glades, and now I'm 8 years in there. So it's crazy. I'm thinking of, like, all the coaches in Broward. I'm one of the longest tenured high school coaches.
Yeah, I'm one of the longest at Palm Beach.
And I turned 40 next month, so it's crazy. So
throughout this podcast, you have heard Nick and Joe Franco talk about their experience and how baseball has changed over the course of their coaching tenure. Change is constant, and it's always going to come. When my dogs show up my baseball equipment, I'm glad I invest in Bitcoin so I can buy some new gloves, because they've already gone through 2 already, and hopefully they don't go through number 3. I feel safe with my investment. The transactions are anonymous and more secure than conventional currency. You'll love Jeremy from the Bitcoin Cash podcast. He has a wealth of knowledge on the subject, and he's even designed his own app for Bitcoin. If you want to learn more about him and just some more about Bitcoin in general, check out him and his podcast. It's all in the show description for this episode. Baseball has changed, and so has the way that we view currency. And if you want to spend some Bitcoin after a big victory or a huge upset, head down to Ravish Kitchen and Cocktails, because, happy hour is always an option, good or bad or indifferent. Check out their website for their fun seasonal events, and they have great American cuisine highlighting local ingredients from their chefs. And one of their owners is a former baseball player and my current brother, Ryan Giffin. Thank you to the Bitcoin Cash podcast and Ravish Kitchen and Cocktails for sponsoring this episode. Now, back to the rest of the episode.
It's pretty cool, our story, like the very first time we played each other, my mother,
that was awesome.
Our mother made a shirt she was pretty good at doing
sewing
and stuff. She was like almost like a
whoever's
seamstress.
Watching, my mom made this. Yeah. Shout out to baseball moms.
Baseball moms, they know what's up. Yeah. But she cut one of my shirts in half and one of his shirts half, and she sewed it so where it was a single shirt, but it was St. Lucius on the front, Monarch on the back.
Yeah, it was like awesome. Jeff and Jared Weaver's mom would do.
Very similar, exactly. Very similar.
Who won that game, by the way?
You did, because my best player was fucking at a wedding.
Here we
go. Raymond Church, who played pro ball, went to FAU, went to Palm State FAU after. Our best player, he was hitting like 600 after the first week of the season.
You play with what you got.
You play with what you got, and I didn't have my best player, and you won.
Well, no, we actually were down 3-0, and we came back at the bottom of the 6th. We scored 4 runs with 2 outs, and then we won 4-3. It was awesome.
I don't know our matchups in the Franco Bowl.
He's won 10. I've won 6.
How do you know that?
Because I keep it posted in my phone.
See, that's how competitive he is.
Yes.
I don't fucking have any idea what our record is against
I do. I'm 6-10 against him my career.
I know that you beat us last year in like 9 innings or 8 innings or something like that. Yeah, you've got us. Yeah, you're better.
No, what's funny is I was looking up stuff on Joe for your background, and like your 200th win came against in the
Franco. It was awesome. And you know what's funny? It shouldn't have. So just real quick a story. So I was on 199, right? Career wins. We were going to play Coconut Creek, and I knew we were, Coconut Creek's just been down, right? But the coach is awesome. I have a good relationship with the coach, and they do a great job with their kids. And I knew I was going to get it then, right? Yeah. Then all of a sudden, some idiot brings a gun on campus, right? And they lock down the entire school. This was at like 2:45 because the game was started at 3:45.
So this is like a Tuesday, and we were playing like on a Thursday or something like that.
The next day, we were playing him, and I was like, man. So I was excited to get it, and then all of a sudden, the game gets canceled, obviously, because there was cops everywhere. And I said, my kid said, hey, coach, you're going to get it against your brother tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, it took like a base hit in the bottom of the sixth to take the lead. Yeah. But you know what's funny? I love this guy so much, but his attitude changes so much when my team takes a lead against him. He's all calm, cool, and collected when he's like up and they're up by runs, and then all of a sudden, it's like something changes when we take a lead. It's the best thing ever. It's a good moment for a younger brother. So, it was awesome. 200th win.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that one time? And I'm a big believer in the baseball gods being real. Like, I think they're more real than a lot of other gods out there. Whatever god you believe in, the baseball gods are real. So Joe tells me this story one day. He's like, "Hey man, what do you think about this?" And he's like, I'm playing so-and-so, and we're getting ready for the game. This is when you were at Monarch, and Monarch's bathroom situation was horseshit. You had to walk 100 yards to go to the bathroom.
It's terrible.
So one of the opposing players' kids was pissing in the bushes, and Joe sees him.
Cardinal Giffin.
And he's like, dude, what are you doing? And he tells the coach, and he tells me after the game, it's over, dude, I got mad. He pissed in the bushes. Who does that? Just go.
Private Catholic school.
Yeah.
Real good.
So he was like, was I wrong for saying something? The coach was like, no. You weren't wrong. It's cool. But at the end of the day, who gives a shit? So I fucking tell our team this story.
I remember this.
And when we get off we didn't take a bus. When we carpooled. When we get out of the cars, I instructed our whole team to go out to the bushes and act like we were pissing. So if you can envision it in your head, you got 20 guys with the coaches also involved. We're
acting
all
like they're pissing.
We're
on
all acting like we're
fence.
pulling down our zipper and pissing down in the bushes up against the fence. And he gets it, and we fucking lost. So baseball gods are real.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with them.
Now, what's funny is I was coaching on the JV team at the time, and Bradley Terry was getting called up. And I think I went up to it. I was like, hey, Terry, don't fuck this one up.
He started the game against
he threw 3 innings.
He did okay, but it was probably his worst performance all of last year.
But he always shut down for us on JV.
He's with me now at Garcia, actually. So cool.
I was keeping up on Instagram, and quite a few of the guys are going over.
Yeah, it's so weird seeing him in those colors, man. I literally messaged him yesterday or the day before. I was like, man, I got to get used to in that blue.
Yeah, we had our very first home football game last night, and I helped work supervision in the stadium, and it was cool experience to be the first, and it was cool.
Beautiful school.
Baby blue turf for the color, the turf field. Yeah. They couldn't fucking put turf on our baseball field. We have grass, but it was really cool, and it was a cool atmosphere.
You got to keep the field.
Yeah,
baseball gods again.
Yeah. So, and then I posted something on Instagram, and dude, it's weird seeing you in blue.
It's
I got used to
weird,
it.
man.
I'm used to it now because I wear blue every day now.
There you go.
Well, how was your transition going to different schools?
It was tough. Some personal things in 2016 that were happening. My son was 14 months old, so he was, just a little over a year old. And then it's like you stay in one place for so long, and you get used to everything. You get used to the people. But the opportunity I was teaching sports marketing at the time. I'm from a business background at Nova, and it was great. Sports marketing was an awesome class. But as an elective class, you have to have the kids in your class to keep that class, right?
Yeah.
So if I didn't have the right numbers, they would have me teach financial accounting or something like that, right, in that department. So a couple years before that, I decided to get social science certified so I could teach world history. And so I wanted to get into world history because it was a core class. I'll have 25 kids every class, right? I'll have job security for the next 40 years, right? Monarch didn't have a world history position open. So I was going back into my 11th year basically saying, blah, blah, blah. So we're in the 2016 season, right? And I'm walking up to the dugout to Taravella because we're about to play our district game against Taravella. And their AD comes up to me because he's known me for a very long time. God rest his soul, Jason Stein, great dude. He comes up to me while my kids are in the dugout and says, hey, Joe, how you doing, man? I was like, oh, what's up? And he goes, what do you think about Coral Glades High School? I said, oh, it's a good school. It's just like Monarch, same atmosphere, right? He says, well, I told them about you because they're getting rid of their coaching staff and, they're not happy with how they're running the program. And I told them about you and they really like you. And I said, I'm about to play your team against Taravella. I got to get my kids prepared, but thank you. I'll think about it, blah, blah, blah. Sure enough, we end up beating Taravella. Their coach did some phantom ball IO. They did an IO without a ball. Really pissed me off. Speaking of baseball gods, I go to my coach. I said, I hope the baseball gods are with us today because that was Bush League, right? Yeah. We end up beating them 4-3, and we should not have beat them that game. They had way more talent than us. So we beat them 4-3. After the game, I'm all excited, And Jason comes up to me again and says, hey, great win, man. I was pulling for you on that one because it pissed me off also that he didn't do an IO with the baseball.
Was it signed the previous coach before he became the athletic director?
Yeah, he was a long-time Terravella coach. Did a great job over there. Now his wife,
family is friends with our family too. That's cool.
Yeah. So his wife works at Coral Glades, and so sure enough, we're on another bus ride for another game the next day. I get a call from the principal, and he says, hey, and I'm like, I'm on the bus right now with my team. We're about to go to a game.
Wait, the principal called you that night?
The principal, no, this is the next day. We're driving to Deerfield to play another game. So I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want, my kids to hear it. And it was like, but yes, I'll go for the interview, blah, blah, blah. So I go on the interview, and he basically, Principal Caruth, which awesome dude. I go on the interview, and he basically said that they just want to go in a different direction for the baseball program. They've heard a lot of good things about me, how I run Monarchs program, and blah, blah, blah. We got a world history position open and a U.S. history position open, and, we'd love for you to teach one of those and be our head baseball coach starting next year. And I said, all right, let's do it. So that's kind of how it went down. My son Jackson was 14 months old at the time of this whole transition thing. But it's weird because you make those relationships with the players, with the parents. As much as you kind of have to keep the distance with parents in high school baseball, you still want to have a good relationship as much as you can without them interfering too much into the program. And so leaving that, I was thinking I was at Monarch for 30 years, and this opportunity came up, and it's the best decision I ever made. So I'm changing programs. I'm changing curriculums, going from sports marketing to world history. I'm changing schools. I'm moving at this time. I got a baby. It's just crazy. So
let me ask you this, though. Going back to that time, you were in baseball season when this all kind of happened. I was
in baseball.
You were in the middle of baseball.
In the middle of baseball season.
Middle to the end.
And the principal at Glades told me I can't say anything yet because he didn't want
the current staff at Glades was still there.
100%.
And you were still at Monarch.
I was still at Monarch.
That's a tough situation to be in.
So for a month and a half, I couldn't say anything. But sure enough, somebody said something, and all of a sudden my phone's blowing up. Hey, are you taking over at Glades? You leaving Monarch? Nah, man, I'm good. I'm here. I'm staying. Blah blah. And I know his situation.
Well, it's funny.
Little bit different.
Your situation and what you went through helped me go through my situation, and Now, the timing was different because my offer came to me before tryouts. Yeah. And I accepted before tryouts, and I kept it to myself.
I told him straight up, don't say anything and just keep
I know,
it
it's
hush.
weird, though, but that was at the beginning of the season. And I actually chose to tell our people involved at Santa Lucia's right away, but I waited till after tryouts. Yeah. I didn't want it to be in the back of people's minds during the tryout session because, tryout session, it's all, the kids need to be able to try out without any distractions. Yeah. So as soon as my team was made last year, I told my team, and it was against what you recommended. Yeah. But it ended up working out.
Why would he go with the younger brother's advice? Yeah. Right?
But your situation happened in the third quarter of the season. My situation was we didn't even start real practice yet. We had tryouts. I told my kids last year the day one practice after tryouts, and I felt like that was the right thing to do.
I agree. It was
because I remember you specifically saying the rumor started during your season. You 100%. Had to deflect it, and I didn't want that distraction from the very beginning of the season. Yeah. So
I was like, "What the fuck? I just got here."
I know. I know. Fucking Kyle Dahl said the same thing. Yeah. You just fucking brought me in here, man. I know. I'm like, sorry, man. I want to bring you with me over there, but there's only 2 PE positions, and you can't.
No, it was tough. It was tough. And then again, you're going to a new set of parents, right, who are used to how things were done. And then all of a sudden I come in, I got 10 years coaching experience. I had a good run at Monarch. We did things the right way at Monarch. We didn't recruit one player. I don't believe in recruiting high school players, which is, I don't know if you're going to touch base on that, but we did a great job just coaching the kids that were there. And now I go to this new set of parents. They're like, oh, who's this young guy? Because when you got dads who are older and their kids have been in the program, it's like, who's this guy? What is he going to teach my kid? I'm sorry, I just played college baseball at some high levels, and I've been a head coach now 10 years. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing, and I'll teach your kids some things. So it's just a very undisciplined, program that I took over. And as far as I know, Coral Glades is happy with what I've been doing. So we've had a good run this first 7 years I've been there.
So what have you guys seen change from the start of your coaching tenure to now?
Oh my God, the things you could say first off, things that you could say back in 2006, 2007 to things you can't say nowadays. I think this generation is a lot softer. If you want me to just be honest.
Oh yeah.
They're more entitled. They're softer, and they can't take criticism as well.
Yeah. Because
and like
the travel system. The travel system is what is killing high school baseball, in my personal opinion. So there's kids that'll grow up playing travel ball for 5-6 years, and then they come to high school, and I'm like, this guy played travel ball. He's getting cut. Like he's not even making my varsity.
That's the problem with it. Like it's not
unrealistic expectations almost.
I'm not knocking the whole travel ball system because
there are some good programs out there.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, summer ball is how kids get recruited. That's the grand scheme of things.
That's where you're going to get the most
college
exposure.
Coaches have the opportunity to go see multiple players, multiple teams in the same complex doing some sort of tournament. Or, the unfortunate thing is our seasons are aligned with each other, and it's really difficult for them to come out during the high school season. But what mimics the college season? It's the high school season.
Right.
You have class to worry about. You have conditioning to worry about. Lifting if the high school program is doing lifting. It's tough. It's extremely difficult to do lifting during the high school season because for 7.5 hours of the day you're at school. Yeah. So that's another thing that travel ball coaches don't have to deal with in the summer. Like, you can lift all you want in the morning and then go to the field for your tournament. Or you lift 4 days in a row and then you have a tournament for 5 days in a row.
Well, they also don't have to deal with things they do in the classroom. I have 5 players that at our fall tryout are going to be running the entire tryout because they did something stupid last week. Literally, I get a call at 2:45 p.m. from an administrator saying, this guy, we're doing this instead of being in class. And so now, instead of trying out, they're going to run. And these are 5 guys that I know are going to be on the team. It's like, just do the right thing. And you think a travel coach has to deal with that stuff? No. They just show up. They probably don't even look the part. And then they just go play baseball. It's like mercenary baseball to me. It sucks.
Yeah. I'm not knocking the whole. There's good programs, there's bad programs. Just like there's good high school programs and bad high school programs. And there's the problem with the travel ball kind of coach getting involved with the high school coach or the high school scene is they're not educators. It's hard. It's hard. There's not a lot of educators that are actually coaching high school baseball anymore, at least in South Florida.
No.
The guys that have been doing it for a while, like Joe and I, other people like Larry Greenstein at Park Vista, Carl Mazza at American Heritage,
Terry Portis at Fort Lauderdale.
Terry Portis was the head coach at Fort Lauderdale when I was playing against Fort Lauderdale.
I mean,
it's truly mind blowing, his career, and that's the kind of guy that if I was a dad, I would want my kid to play for that guy because that guy is like Frank Bombelis.
Yes, Terry Portis is a fantastic coach, and if kids actually stayed at Fort Lauderdale instead of going to St. Thomas or Gibbons or some of these other schools, he would have won 4 state titles by now, easily, because he's a great coach and he runs a high school program exactly like how Bombelis was, just holding the kids accountable.
He's like Bombelis 2.0. He really is.
100%.
And when you guys hosted the tournament, the spring break tournament, Fort Lauderdale, Monarch hosted you guys. We played at Coral Springs High, but you were the host,
right?
And I remember playing them, and it was surreal because I played against him as a player, and now I'm coaching against him.
And he's still coaching.
He's still coaching. The fact that he's still coaching is amazing. It's
crazy.
Do you remember that day in the dugout when one of your assistants was like, "Hey Joe, this is the first day of the tournament. Hey Joe, what do you want the trophy to say on the engraving?" And my assistant coach Gary Chanley goes, "Congratulations, Santa Lucius." That was funny as shit. We did. Oh. So the baseball gods didn't get us on that one. But it's funny, it's the day 1 of the tournament. It's a spring break tournament, and we're getting ready to, the kids are stretching out in the outfield, and there's a little bit of downtime, and Joe and I were talking in the dugout, and one of Joe's assistants comes over, "Hey Joe, the trophy's getting made right now. What do you want the engraving to say on the trophy?" And my assistant coach, without even skipping a beat, "Congratulations, Santa Lucius."
That's definitely something Chanley would say.
Chanley, obviously. Yeah.
Good guy.
And we won, so we held up our end of the bargain there.
Yeah. But it's I don't know, man. It's been a crazy, 17 plus years. You see so many things that, the kids before, when we were first starting coaching, I feel like this generation they feel like they're owed things, and the parents have a lot to do with it. And it's like, God forbid you cut a kid, right? And they just got done playing 6 years of travel ball. It's like, well, my private coach says my swing's really good. Well, yeah, your private instructor probably is going to say that because he wants your money every week. Like, come on, man. Like, you know, and I don't know, man. It gets tougher and tougher every year, but, you know, I honestly wouldn't do anything different. This is what I was made to do.
Yeah. You know, going to what you just said, like about the travel, not the travel guy, but the lesson guy.
Yeah, the lesson guy.
There's a lot.
And I give lessons. I give private lessons.
Yeah.
It's good money, don't get me wrong, but I'm probably one of the few guys who will actually like give a lot of constructive criticism in my lessons, because a lot of kids I give lessons to when they're, you know, 8, 9, 10 years old, they could be with me in high school one day, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because if I get them in 5, 6 years, I want them to be good.
And here's my advice to parents that might hop across listening to this. If you're gonna get lessons for your kid, that's fine. One-on-one instruction is very important. But if that coach doesn't communicate with the high school coach, if that coach doesn't show up to the high school games to watch his product perform, then he's the wrong coach for you in the private setting. Because, like, the only guys that I know that are worth a damn in the private setting are guys that communicate with me about my kid. If that makes, like, hey, Franco, I'm working with so-and-so. What do you want me to work on with him? They got a hold of me. They want to work out. They want to do bullpens. They want to get hitting lessons, whatever it may be. Those guys that contact me, they're doing it right. They care. You know, obviously they're trying to make some money because they have to. That's the way they're making a living. And then they also show up to the game. There's so many travel coaches, you know, there's so many, especially pitching. Jesus, the pitching, they're fucking all about velocity and fucking driveline baseball.
Oh my God, let's throw a ball as hard as we can with a crow hop into a wall, and it says 90, and all of a sudden you're good.
And then you pitch in a game and it's 82, and you're fucking throwing 40 pitches in an inning, and you give up a run, but you're in and out of trouble the whole inning. And it's like, you just fucking threw 40 pitches, bro.
I was talking about that. That probably adds to arm injuries.
Of course
all
it
they're
does.
teaching you to do is grip it and rip it.
Yeah.
That's not good for your elbow.
It's not good for your elbow, and I'm not a big fan of the whole weighted ball thing.
I am like adults, like college age to pro guys can do that shit. The high school kids that do it's stupid. Yeah. And you know, you got a guy, you got a guy that goes to a showcase and airs it out for an inning, hits 90, and then he comes in the spring season and he can't fucking throw a strike. So he doesn't even pitch for his high school team.
Or he's hurt because he threw a 7-inning complete game in a summer game. That means nothing to win a perfect game trophy. That's another thing that drives me nuts.
Or went to a travel team like tryout in January and then shows up to fucking tryouts for high school, not ready to coach, I can't throw a pen, I'm sore. What? Like, well, then I guess I don't fucking need you to pitch.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's what we have to deal with. And the thing is, we're the closest thing to the next level.
Yeah.
Go to class.
Travel ball is not even close to what college ball is. No. You know, travel ball is 4 games in 2 days. You know, and if you win 5 games in 3 days, like, you don't do that in college. You play a midweek game on Wednesday. You play a series Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. You practice Monday, Tuesday, or, you know, you midweeks on Thursday. Yeah. But, like, you're playing 4 games a week, but it's spread out a little bit, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Oh God, it just bothers me.
That's why I coach college summer teams instead, and it's so much better.
Is there anything you think could help with that whole travel ball situation?
Yeah, I think one of the things that could help is not, like he said, not conduct a tryout for your summer team in January when we're just about to start our arm care conditioning and our tryout for the high school team. And like you said, college coaches do want to know, like, obviously the college coaches want to recruit good players, obviously, right? But the college coaches do contact the high school coaches. I talk to coaches all the time, and some of the things they ask me, like, oh, how is he in the classroom? You know, how is he in the hallways? How is he going to school and then showing up, and how is he at practice, 3 or 4 days a week, And I'm honest with them. I've had kids that can play at the next level, but they're turds, man. They don't work hard. They're not coachable. They do stupid stuff in the classroom, and I've had to turn some college coaches away because I'm honest with my evaluation, and I tell the parents that as well. So I think the travel system could do a better job of maybe waiting a little bit longer. I think the problem also is with travel ball, you have so many of these injuries because they're throwing so much baseballs. They're pitching competitively for 11 and a half months, right?
Yeah.
And so when you get done with your high school season, you know, because there's only some teams that go to regionals, so you finish the first week of May, and there's already a tournament scheduled for, what is it, Memorial Day at the end of May?
It's usually the first summer tournament,
It's
Memorial
crazy.
Day weekend.
Why? The kids just got done throwing competitive innings for, 3 or 4 months with their high school team. They're supposed to be taking some time off. Big leaguers even take time off of their arms before they go to winter.
I kind of wish the travel scene would do it more like the college scene. Like, you let the high school season happen, and then recruit your summer high school team.
Right.
Go out to, because most travel guys are either assistant coaches of high school teams, or they aren't even involved with high school baseball.
Right.
So instead of having a tryout right before, I mean, that's another thing. Like, they're just a piece of meat to these guys in a way. But
Yep.
my big thing is this: the kids have to play in the summer. Like, they just have to, and they do get recruited. But if any parent out there is listening, another thing that I've said, if your kid is getting offered and that college coach has not contacted the high school coach, that is you have an offer. That's great, but they're not really thinking of you in the long run of being like, you're just a number. Like if you have a high
over recruit,
if you have a high perfect game rating, you're gonna be recruited. But if that college recruiter or college head coach doesn't contact the high school coach and does his homework, then he's just a guy. Like, he's not going to get a legit shot.
Right.
These Power 5 guys, they over recruit. They have to. They get fired if they lose. Yeah. So they're bringing in as what they think is the best talent ever, and they let them weed themselves out.
Yeah.
That's why the transfer, and especially with the transfer portal. And another thing is, the transfer portal is king right now. If I'm a Power 5 college coach, I'm going after the Power 5 transfer portal guy, not the high school senior that just graduated.
And that's the other problem is that, like, when we started coaching, you asked about what's different from when we started coaching to now.
It's jumping ship.
Like, well, not only that, but like when we started coaching, you know, you're looking at 7% of high school players that get to play college baseball. Now with the portal, it's down to like 3 to 4%. So you're looking at kids that are pretty good ball players, but if you have the decision to go with a JUCO transfer, right, or a kid who's at a high school, the kid's in high school facing what, 85 maybe, 86? The college JUCO guy or the D2 transfer, D1 transfer just got done facing 90 to 95, and he put up decent numbers. Who are they going to go with? Like, it's so much harder to play college baseball now than it was.
Especially for high school kids.
Yeah.
That's why there's been a jump in the post-grad programs.
Right.
They're taking that gap year where they're just taking like 3 college classes online somewhere to start the college credit process, but they're not losing a year of eligibility. They're just training and getting physically stronger because the colleges are hammering the portal. Right. They're not into the high school kids as much.
It's hard.
Or they're not legit trying to get a high school kid to be a starter the first year.
It's a lot different.
Yeah.
Well, was there anything else you guys wanted to touch on?
You know, I think one of the things that we do a good job of is like we talked about a little bit earlier, was running our high school program to get these guys to be adults, you know, one day and be successful. It doesn't always have to be baseball being successful, but, you know, I'll take, you know, his resume and I'll take my resume over a lot of high school coaches that have won state titles, because I think it's so obvious when you have some teams that are just consistently like power schools, you know, and then all of a sudden they get these guys in and they recruit these high school kids to play baseball for them. I'm sorry, if you have to recruit high school players to win games, then you obviously don't trust your coaching ability, because I know he hasn't recruited a player in the day in his life. I haven't recruited a player, and I will never do that because I trust what I do as a coach. You know, and I think that is also hurting the high school game, which sucks, because I think high school baseball was something that shaped me as an adult. Like when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure he feels the same way. You know, so, you know, I
think high school athletics is important, not 100%. Just baseball. I think overall, like, you know, I was an athletic director for a couple of years, and I'm actively involved with athletics at the new school, but I'm not like, I don't have a title, but I'm helping out with things, and, you know, as an outsider. And high school athletics are important, man. Like, the confidence that it gives you, like our volleyball team at the new school is pretty good right now. They're off to a good start, and I'm going up to those girls, giving them high fives, like good congratulations last night, and like it's just it builds like the culture of the school, and and it's important. Like last night, our first home football game, the place was packed, man. It was awesome. We had all the big wigs from the district on our campus and on our field, and you know, I do something stupid. I call it the PE extra credit selfie. So they have to find me. If they find me and they take a selfie with me, they get extra credit in PE class. And they just have to, you know, show the picture on Tuesday, you know, the next day in school. And so like all the kids, oh coach, let's do our selfie. That's kind of cool. Like I just
the high school athletics are so important. It's a great way for kids to really represent something bigger than themselves. I'm very big on that with our program at Coral Glades. And just getting them to understand, you know, it's you have a part to play, but you know, you got to do what you got to do in the classroom, but you have this opportunity to represent your high school on the baseball field. And there's nothing better. There's really nothing better.
And I love what your brother said in the Braden episode. He said, like, being a part of a team is like life, like your job. And when you grow up being a part of a team, like he's a firefighter now. That's the ultimate team concept. And his transition from being an athlete to a firefighter it's seamless. It's the same shit. And in the business world, like,
got to work as a team.
If I'm a CEO or a GM and I'm trying to go through the interview process of hiring someone, if there's a sports background and there's a non-sports background, same qualifications, I'm probably going to lean towards the sports background because of the commitment to and teamwork and dedication, organization. It's all part of sports.
And just to touch on that real quick, I always tell my baseball players, I said, listen, you got to use baseball. If you have the gifts to play baseball at the next level in college, you're better off going to a smaller school. So any parents out there that are listening or any kids that are listening, you're better off going to a smaller school, getting a degree, being an NCAA athlete or an NAIA athlete for 4 years and putting that on your resume versus going to UCF or FSU and joining a fraternity. Because I can tell you right now, companies nowadays, they want people who can have those characteristics to put and build their company, teamwork, dedication, commitment. I mean, you're in a college athlete for 4 years. I mean, that's saying something, right? Because it's like a full-time job.
They don't look at, was it a Power 5 or a D3? You know, they just see that you were a part of a team, and they dig that, man. Right. It's attractive to them in the hiring process.
100%.
Well, Joe, I need a funny baseball story from you on the way out. I got one from Nick last time.
What was your funny story last time?
When I like tore my labrum drunk at a wedding.
All right, so here's a funny story. So I was competitive with him growing up, obviously, and he was the big brother. And I remember one time I was chewing food with my mouth open, right?
This is fucked up.
I think I was 13 and he was 18 at the time. And what was it?
We were eating dinner.
We were eating dinner,
table.
and I did it again. He said, "If you do that again,
I'm like, can you just chew with your mouth closed, please?"
Yeah. And so he's like, "If you do it again, I'm going to stab you with this fork." So I end up doing it again, like a little shit that I was. Sure enough, he took the fork and he legit went like that with the fork into my hand, and I was just like, I was bleeding.
You chased me too. Mom was pissed. Mom was going crazy.
Oh my God, he legit stabbed me with the fork. So
but. I got another funny story that has nothing to do with me hurting you, but when I mentioned that we went to Massachusetts growing up, so we went to Red Sox games a lot. Yeah. So this is hilarious. Like, you know, our grandfather, stubborn as a mule, he refused to pay for parking when he went to Red Sox games, and we went to a Red Sox game. Roger Clemens was pitching that day.
Roger Clemens was on the mound.
Yep. So I don't remember the year, but Roger Clemens is the pitcher. So we go into Fenway. Was it our first time going to a Fenway game? We went to a lot of Fenway games. It might have been the first. I can't remember, but it was a Fenway game, and Roger Clemens was on the bump. And me, our uncle and our cousins, that we all get in the game. My grandfather refused to pay for parking, so I'm going to drop you off. He drops us off. And I'll be there. I'll see you guys soon. I'm going to find parking. And he's a guy that grew up in Boston, in downtown Boston, going to Red Sox games.
No cell phones. Right?
This is way before cell phones. Yeah. So he just refused to pay for parking. He said, I'm going to find a spot. I'm like, okay. It's the fucking 8th inning. He finally gets to his seat. We're like, you missed the whole game, man. He's like, I found a spot.
He was definitely
He just
stubborn.
refused to pay for parking.
Yeah.
So it was really funny.
it-
Wasn't it like a mile away after
Seriously,
after the
we had to
game's
walk
over?
forever.
He was there for 20 minutes, then we had to walk more. A mile.
So is there a historic game that you've almost been to? Like, I was at the game before Ken Griffey Jr. hit his 600th.
Oh, that's pretty
Really?
cool.
Yeah, I was at the game before, and I passed up tickets. Braden offered it to me. He's like, hey, does anyone want to go to Marlins game tonight? And we're like, no. Roy Halladay threw a perfect game that night.
Oh my God.
Do you guys have a game like that?
I was at the original wide right for FSU Miami, but that's not baseball.
Really?
But I was, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't remember any historical game that I went to.
Yeah, this
Or
is, this
that
isn't
you
really
almost
historic.
missed. Kind of like your white whale of a game you could have gone to.
I have a story like that meeting Dan Marino. I choked. I'm a big Dolphin fan. I grew up down here, and I love the Dolphins. And I'm at the mall one day, and I go into Foot Locker, and this is like in the summer. Like, I'm a teacher. I'm a grown ass man. Like, I'm an adult, and it's summer. I just walking around the mall. The mall's not really that busy. It's the early part of the morning or afternoon, and I walk into Foot Locker, and it's just me, the Foot Locker workers, and Dan Marino. I'm like, holy fuck, Dan Marino. I got all nervous. My heart starts pounding, and I'm like, I don't want to be like a fanboy. I don't want to like I've heard rumors that he's been a dick to people, like asking for autographs and stuff. So it got in my head, and I'm like staring at him, like, and I just fucking walk out. I walked out the door like a little bitch. I just got so scared. And this is like my ultimate, like, I'm a huge Dolphin fan. Dan Marino's my number one, and like
funny.
I had the chance to just go up to him politely, nicely, and say hi, and I didn't do it. And that's my biggest regret. So it has nothing to do with what you asked me, but that's kind of a funny story about regret.
That's a good story.
I just want to say thank you for having us on, man. This was awesome. I honestly been telling Nick for like a month. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Even my son wanted to come on. I was like, I don't know if that's allowed, Jackson. So
I think we could do that.
yeah, I mean, maybe one day. Yeah.
I tell you one thing. I see his son love the game, and that's what it's all about. You brought it up in one of your episodes about Miles, teaching Miles the game, and like how he's taking so much joy in playing and working. His son's like that, man.
Yeah.
We were up in Massachusetts a couple summers ago, and it's 6 a.m. and the fucking kid hasn't had breakfast yet. He has a ball glove on, and he's bouncing the ball against the wall. My wife and I are like, "What the fuck is Jackson doing?" And then I hear Joe, "Want to go outside?" I'm like, "Just go back to sleep. It's too early." Me and my wife don't have kids. We're not used to this, so it's like, what the hell? But just seeing the joy and love that Jackson, his son, has for the game is awesome. And every Franco Bowl, Jackson throws out the first pitch now. It's really cool.
And we're going to you this year, right?
You are coming. You are coming
2 years
to
in a
us.
row. I have to come to you.
Yeah. Well, you said you'd come to me for the new school.
I know.
No, what was funny is like I gave Miles a lesson and he was super into it. Then I was doing like an Uncle Day with him after the lesson. Took him to Chick-fil-A, and then the stuff I told him, like I looked down at him, he was practicing his swing while we're waiting at Chick-fil-A. Yeah, it's really cool to see. But thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks for having me again, man.
This was awesome.
I love doing this, man. I love just talking baseball, hanging out with and it's been fun.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for being here, and for everyone listening, we will see you next week.
Thanks, Giff.
Thank you so much.